Hey guys, it's me Sophie with my May wrap up. So let's go through the books I read. I read a total of 31 books, and that accumulates to 6,389 pages. Now let's go over how many I've read. What I've read. The first book I read was The Diva Spices It Up by Krista Davis. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Love that there was a voice at the beginning of each chapter. First book I have read by this author. Might read more of her books. Received this book from NetGalley. More than an intimate portrait of my mother. Natalie Wood by Natasha Grayson Wagner. Rated this 5 stars. Loved this book. Great story. It was interesting to learn about Natalie Wood. Received this book from Scrivener from NetGalley. Next one is Pineapple Upside Down from Down Murder by Jody Rath. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Can't wait to read the next book in the series. First book I have read by this author. We'll read more of her books. The next one is Jalapeno Cheddar Cornbread Murder by Jody Rath. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Can't wait to read more by this author. Next one is Blueberry Cobbler Murder Blackmail by Jody Rath. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. I love this author's books. Next one is Turkey Maced to Death by Jody Rath. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. I love this author's books. Next one is Watching from the Dark by Gisa Lodge. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. First book I read by this author. Might read more of her books. Received this book from Random House Publishing from NetGalley. Next one is Friends to the End by Shelley Shepard Gray. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Can't wait to read the next book in the series. Love this author's books. Next one is A Precious Gift by Shelley Shepard Gray. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Can't wait to read the next book in the series. Love this author's books. Received this book from Gallery Books NetGalley. Too short. Wish it was longer. Next one is The Trustworthy One by Shelley Shepard Gray. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Love this series. Can't wait for the next book in the series to release. Love this author's book. Received this book from Gallery Books from NetGalley. Next one is Sweet Retreat by Jody Rath. Rated this 5 stars. Love this book. Great story. Too short. Can't wait for her to release more books. Love this author's books. Next one is Caramel Cocoa by Amanda Flower. Rated this 5 stars. Love this book. Great story. Love this author's books. Next one is Botched Butterscotch by Amanda Flower. Rated this 4 stars. I love this book. Great story. Too short. Can't wait for the next book in the series to release. Love this author's books. Received this book from Kensington Books from NetGalley. The next one is Promise at Pebble Creek by Lisa Jones. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Wasn't confused by not reading the other books in the series. Second story I have read by the author. Will read more of her books. Received this book from Kensington Books from NetGalley. Home This Day by Lori Liu. I love this book. Great story. First book I have read by this author. We read more of her books. Received this book from Kensington Books from NetGalley. Next book I read was 4 Days of You and Me by Miranda Kennedy. Rated this 4 stars. I like this book. Good story. Received this book from Source Books from NetGalley. Next one is The Apartment by K.L. Slater. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Second book I have read by this author. We read more of her books. Received this book from Amazon Publishing UK from NetGalley. Next one is The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Sever. I love this book. Great story. I like that it went from when her fiance was alive and dead. Second book I have read by this author. Hope she writes more books. Next one is Amish Country Murder by Mary Alford. It is 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. First book I have read by this author. We read more for books. Next one is Dangerous Amish Inheritance by W. Gusti. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Second book I have read by this author. We'll read more for books. Next one is A Summer Amish Courtship by Emma Miller. Rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. First book I have read by this author. We'll read more for books. Next one is Amish Reckoning by Joshua McClay. I love this book. Great story. Second book I have read by this author. Hope she writes more books. The next one is The Amish Teacher's Dilemma by Patricia Davis. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Read a few books by this author. We'll read more for books. See this book from Harlequin Romance, U.S. and Canada from Nick Galley. The Farm Stand by Amy Clipston. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Can't wait for the next book and then release. So we love this author's book. Receive this book from Zonderland from Nick Galley. Next one is The Bride from Virginia City by Maria Perot. I've rated this 5 stars. Love this book. Great story. Read a few books by this author. We'll read more of his books. Next one is The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. I love this book. Great story. First book I read by this author. We'll read more for books. Next one is The Unlikely Amish by Renita Chapman. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Read a few books by this author. We'll read more for books. Next one is The Heartbreaker by J.E.B. Sperman. This 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Read a few books by this author. We'll read more for books. Next one is Storming Weather by Barbara Cameron. Rated 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Read one story by this author. We'll read more for books. Next one is Blessed Are the Meek by Amos Wise. I love this book. Great story. I read a few books by this author. We'll read more of his books. And the last one I read is Pockets of Promise by Lori Stroop. I rated this 5 stars. I love this book. Great story. Hope she reads more books. And that's it for me. See you guys in my next video. Bye.